What kind of person always comes off fake to you? Politicians and anyone who talks about how honest they are. The more someone says that, the more I think they have something to hide. True 99% of the time. Also people who brag about how empathetic they are. Had a coworker try to tell she was an empath. I was like, no, empathy is not a superpower. It's a basic human feeling. A proper response. I always felt like that too. And like earthing. You're walking barefoot, champ. It feels good, but it's not a superpower or something new. As they say, the more someone brags about being honest, the more likely they're just sharpening their acting skills for the next big Hollywood audition. Anyone who constantly reminds me / talks about how smart they are, or about how they're a super great, super nice person. You shouldn't have to constantly announce your personality traits. If they're genuine, people will notice. If you have to tell everyone something about yourself like that, it's never true. If it was true, they wouldn't feel so insecure and need to tell everyone in the first place. It'd just be well known already. It's like getting laid past your teens. No one brags about it anymore because generally most people have been there, done that by now. I work with a relief doctor from time to time. She'll tell us she's smart and then tell us why she's so smart. Cool story, bro, but your medicine is lacking. Influencers and people that boast about themselves too much. Particularly bright orange ones. What did annoying orange do to you? Troompa Loompa. My brain went there immediately. You know what they say, people who boast about themselves too much are like influencers, always filtering their personalities for that perfect online persona. Any employer that says we're like a family here. Facts. Ironically, these workplaces usually end up being the most depressing / miserable. I think they're trying to tell us something. Most abuse comes from within the family unit, so they're not lying, I guess. You're onto something. I feel you. It's like when a coworker tries to bond by saying we're like a family here, but deep down, we all know we're more like that dysfunctional distant cousin of theirs. Hello. Ever met someone who gives off major fake vibes? You know, like they're rehearsing for a role in a bad soap opera? Yeah, those people. We've all got our theories on who falls into this category. So, drop your thoughts below and let's dive into the fascinating world of fake personalities. I'm going to go with television preacher. Creepy Kenneth Copeland has entered the chat. That guy is a scary dude. Dude, that guy is a demon if I ever saw one. There's seriously something wrong with him. Agreed. He looks strange and sounds stranger. PPL that enthusiastically agree with everything you say. Yes. This. Exactly. Totally what I think. I completely agree. Makes exit plan ASAP. I like the way you think, pal. I once met someone who was so agreeable, they made the Magic 8 Ball feel indecisive. MLM entrepreneurs. I came here for this exact comment. Hi, how are you doing? I love your dog. How have you been since we last talked 17 years ago? So anyways, let me tell you about my journey to financial independence. Get the fuck out of my DMs. This is why I don't have social media anymore, aside from Reddit OFC. Or even worse, someone I absolutely don't even know approaches me at a store and pretends to know me from 10 years ago. Bambi, is that you, girl? How you been, hon? Nope, not Bambi, and I don't give a single fuck about your cookware, leggings, candles, makeup, fingernails, artwork, music, investment, plural marriage, or whatever it is you are going to try and pivot your fake conversation starter over to. Wow. Full-time pay for part-time work. The way you threw plural marriage in there was just chef's kiss. I once met a person so fake, they made the Kardashians look like natural-born introverts. MLM entrepreneurs, take notes. Guys that pull out an acoustic guitar whenever more than 4 girls are around. You girls heard Wonderwall? I said maybe. This tickled me so much. Good, because a shitty rendition is all I know. Guys who always bring out their ukuleles when 4 or more girls are present? More like the music industry's strategic plan to sell more acoustic guitars. People who are super nice to bosses / people who can help their career but shitty to everyone else. Kiss up / kick down people are the worst. I love that description. Adding it to my list of fuck you quotes. Teacher's pet, boss's bitch. I experienced this recently with a girl at work who was always friendly and would chat on our walk into the building. She has since worked her way up into higher levels in our org, and now she acts as if she doesn't know who I am. The one-uppers always have a story that's better or bigger than anything you've done. 0. I know somebody who is way worse than that. 1. I know 2 people like this. Beat that. Yeah, that def sucks. Can never really tell a good or bad story. BCZ, they have something that's more interesting and sometimes it's straight made up. 2. If you went to Tenerife, they've been to 11 Rife. I once met someone who was such a one-upper, they made Mount Everest look like a tiny speed bump. Best believe their stories came with their own theme music and a red carpet premiere. Politicians. Especially their weight. Ha! I once met someone so fake, they made politicians look like humble monks taking a vow of silence. Anyone super into their career/job. Also anyone who makes their addiction of choice. No shame here. Nicotine, caffeine and THC are my friends, their entire personality and lifestyle. Dog, you mentioning caffeine and THC on the same sentence really got my craving going, and I'm broke as a lamp right now. I just love a good fat joint and a steaming cup of black with the tightest tunes streaming in the background. Got /real/lucky about stockpiling Death Wish coffee, a couple hours of good shit and some THC vape fluid before unemployment hit. It really helps the days pass when I have to abstain from alcohol for reasons. Anyone who talks about their new diet and workout routine with the same enthusiasm as a small child talking about their imaginary friend? Fake as a spray tan in January. People who smile too much. Working retail, it's very obvious to tell when someone's lying, and usually they hide it with a smile. Crypto brothers. They do this exact same thing. Crypto brothers and finance brothers are the creepiest things I've ever seen. I always wonder what they've been smoking. I once came across a person who smiled so much, I thought they were auditioning for the role of a toothpaste commercial spokesperson in their spare time. The yoga crystals girls and the yoga man bun guys. Wouldn't trust either with a pile of shit. I remember once when I was in Thailand, I was in hostel in Chiang Mai and there were some people hanging on the terrace and drink beer. There was this hippie yoga sheik who had an interesting accent, so out of curiosity I asked, "Where are you from?" She replied, "I'm from the earth." I thought it was a little weird, but okay. I asked her name, to which she replied, "I don't go by my birth name. I've decided to name myself Shiva." A little pretentious, but okay. I wanted to do a quick beer run to the 7-Eleven and she came with me. At the till, I was paying for my purchase and the cashier asked if I wanted a bag but declined, as I had a big purse with me. Shiva then promptly starts yelling at the poor cashier who barely spoke English about how bad plastic bags were for the environment, all the while buying a plastic bottle of Nestle water. We get back to the terrace of the hostel, and continue talking with the others. At one point, someone just stared at her and said, "Cut the crap. Where are you really from?" And then all of a sudden she replies with the strongest New England accent, "I'm from Boston." Turns out she had spent 2 weeks in India at a yoga retreat, which apparently changed her life to the point that she quit her job, got dreads, and decided she wanted to start selling crystals around Southeast Asia. That's a wild story, dude. I once encountered a couple so artificial, they made wax figures seem like method actors. Can't trust a downward dog with a side of man bun. HR. This is more true than you know. I was asked to become the new HR person and the whole seminar was about how to minimize damages to the company. They even hinted at how I should rat out my colleagues if something bad came up. I was asked to be the HR person because my colleagues trusted me. I got out of there quickly but not before warning my people to not trust HR. They work for the company, not for you. That's why you need unions. I once encountered a person so fake, they could give a masterclass on how to wear a made in China tag with pride. Guys who proclaim they are good guys or nice guys. Used to be this guy as a teen. People that are always nice and agreeable are one of the two. 1. They want to use you for their personal gain. 2. They are too insecure about their own opinions/ideas/ themselves to speak up about anything, rendering discussions with them pretty much useless. Even as a man, I now immediately distrust anyone who proclaims themselves as a nice guy. Had one in our friendship group in collage, we were very similar in terms of interests, humor, etc. So I thought he was a great guy. Until I found I was no longer welcome in the group because he'd been spreading negative rumors about me. The things he'd spread were completely false and I wondered why such a nice guy would do such a thing. Turns out he'd wanted me out of the way so he could have a clear run at the girls in the group, one of whom he attempted to pressure into sex. When none of the girls gave in to his advances, he threw a strop and stopped hanging around with them. So much for Mr. Nice Guy. Guys who constantly claim they're good guys or nice guys are like those clickbait articles that promise I'll lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Just full of empty promises and disappointment.